Hey guys, so we got quite a bit of rain this week. We had 3 days of rain, 1 day of full-on like heavy rain, enough to make everything soggy, which I'm not complaining. We need the rain. I love the rain, but it did kind of mess up our video production this week. So I put out a post on our Facebook group, on Instagram, and on our community page on the YouTube channel. And I was going to do, or I am going to do, a Ask Me Anything Q&A. And I've never done one of those before, and mainly because you never know what you're going to get. However, a lot of other YouTubers have done it, and I enjoy watching those that they do because I like learning more about them, and so I'm hoping this is going to do a little bit more of that. And we had a lot of great questions, and nobody went too far with things. So I appreciate that. We've got a great community here, so it's not like I was expecting that, but you never know. So I've got 20 questions or something, maybe 22, lined up here, ready to go. I've got my computer. So I've got all your questions, and we're just going to go right through them, and hopefully you learn a little bit more about me. I wish I could learn more about you. Maybe we'll figure that out someday. All right, so the first one is from Cami. Rain is good. Hopefully will not be excessive. Whatever you want to talk about, it will be fine. How are you feeling? You had some issues. Are they gone? I sure hope so. Well, thank you for that. And yeah, if you've been following me for, well, anything over a year, you know that I had a couple of pretty scary, at least for me, diagnoses health-wise in 2020. So I gave you an update last September 21, saying that, you know, all of those health issues were fine. One of the main ones that I was talking about is, the first one was in my carotid artery, there was an aneurysm and a dissection. And I went to the ER for some things. They found that, and that kind of sent me down a scary path for a year and a half or more. And they had me 6 months later go back, get another MRI to see how it, you know, if it had changed. And it had, but in a good way. It had almost completely healed, which the doctors told me it would not do, most likely. So, very thankful for that. However, in that MRI, they also found a small aneurysm in my brain, which was another freaky diagnosis. However, they did say that it was very small, the risk was super low, and that 1 in 30 people actually have it and never even know. And most of them just die of something else. So anyway, the plan is for both of them is just to continue to watch them right now once a year, and then, you know, the longer I go without any growth or any change, the less likely it will ever be an issue. So I am scheduled for an MRI next week, another follow-up. It's a little bit over a year. But other than that, and I expect it will be, I expect, and I'm hopeful. You can all say a prayer if you want. Give me good thoughts. I appreciate that. But I do expect for hopefully it to be the same size or maybe less. But other than that, physically, I feel probably like I'm in the best shape I've been in 20 years. So I feel good. I'm doing well. And I thank you for asking. The next question is from Deborah. I'm curious, what was your profession? I don't think I ever heard what line of work you're in. I've seen your paintings in one video and have watched your videos over and over. I've actually missed a few of your comments, tips, and picked it up on the third or fourth viewing. I was actually an art and design major in college. I worked a little bit for Disney, which somebody asked about, and I'll get to that in a minute, back in the 90s, early 2000s. And then I kind of fell into web design back in the early 2000s, and I started my own business, and that's what I've done, or that's what I did up until the pandemic came and basically pulled the carpet out from under that. However, at that same exact moment, my YouTube channel took off, and I do have a couple of website clients that I continue to service very sporadically, once a year basically. And other than that, this channel has now become full-time, which is such an amazing blessing. You know, when I was going through all that with my health, there's no way that I could have run that other business and all the stress that came with that and taken care of myself the way I needed to. So in that, I thank all of you for watching and for supporting us. So following up on that, and we can get a little deeper, Rose said, you mentioned in one video that you're a former Disney employee, oops, cast member. Considering your knowledge of the design elements of theme parks, I'm guessing you were on the parks side of the company, but what exactly was your job? I'm on the studio side myself, so I'm just curious. So it's interesting. My time with Disney actually started right out of college, but it started in not an artistic way at all. There was a new concept that they were bringing to our area, actually, new concept they were bringing out called Club Disney. Now, if any of you had kids in the 90s in Southern California, you might have been there. And I was part of the opening team, just as a regular cast member. It was basically a play place for kids, but Disney themed. We could say if Chuck E. Cheese was, a 4 on the scale, that Club Disney was a 10. Because it brought all of that Disney, guest experience into a neighborhood and brought it down to the kids level. You had birthday parties, all kinds of learning experiences. And it was really a fun place. I was looking forward to taking my kids there someday. Unfortunately, that only lasted 3 or 4 years. I moved up to manager, and from that, I was able to meet some people at headquarters, and I actually got a graphic design job with Disney Regional Entertainment, which at the time was Disney Quest, Club Disney, and ESPN Zone. I don't even know if they have that anymore, Disney Quest. Disney Regional. But anyway, so that was my time with Disney. The plan was to move on and become an artist, an Imagineer. That was the dream. But at that time, Disney was not doing so well financially, and they were not doing a lot of hiring. And so I fell into, when I got laid off from Disney, I fell into my graphic design, my web design, and started my own business, and kind of went on with that. And look back every once in a while with a little bit of regret that I never pursued Imagineering. However, now through this channel, well, first of all, being my own boss, I realized I don't think I could work happily for someone else. And now I have this property to develop, and I'm my own little Imagineer here through gardening and building, and so I'm having a lot of fun with that, and so that's kind of softened some of the regret. Marcy asks, how did you and your lovely wife meet? Well, this piggybacks on the last conversation. We met working for Disney. I was her boss at Club Disney, and we started dating, and that's been, we'll be married 20 years this coming May. And then we were together 5 years before that, so 25 years almost. Okay, I love this question. Deadeye Joe. Hypothetically speaking, you win $1 billion, and the next day, all of California falls into the ocean, but everyone survives. Where would you move to start your next homestead if money, language, culture, etc. wasn't an issue? What things would you grow that you don't normally grow? Well, I could grow most anything here, so I would probably be actually more limiting wherever else that I move to, but California wouldn't have to fall into the ocean for me to leave it. I am in California. Well, I've been here all my life, so that's number one. You get some roots into a place. But also, I'm spoiled by the weather. I know that. I admit that. We have a very mild Mediterranean climate. But really what keeps me here, 95% of what keeps me here, because I had a lot of people ask, why are you staying in California when we decided to move down here? And it's because of family. I'm very family oriented. We have both family on both sides. Now, if I knew that they would all follow us, which they have been doing, they followed us in the move, then maybe I would have set my sights somewhere else. However, the question is, if money and all these other things weren't involved, where would I go? I would have to say, because we were thinking about it. We thought hard about it. And I don't know that this is our forever home. Things change. And while I would love to say this is my forever home and I'm putting all this work into it, I'm not going to say that. I'll never say that because, hopefully I live a long time and things change. But anyway, we looked a lot into it. I think we really loved Idaho and the look and the feel and the culture. There's a lot of freedoms up in Idaho and a lot of beautiful scenery. So in terms of homesteading, to have some of those freedoms and the space and the prices, you know, I could get many, many, many acres up there for what I have here, price-wise. So, but I would have to say the cold winters might really, really kill me. Oregon might be nice as well. Maybe somewhere between the wet and the desert area, that might be nice. But I think I would have to have a place to take refuge in part of that cold winter. So maybe a little place in Hawaii, just to get away from some of the snow. I've never been in snow before for any length of time. I've never seen it snow. So I don't even know how I would react. But anyway, oh, Gail. Hairy Vetch is doing great. Actually, I don't have any right now. Lee says, I live in Ventura County, California. The back of your yard looks similar to my area, Zone 10. Very beautiful. Well, Lee, you have a great eye because that is Ventura County, California. That is where I lived my entire life until last year. Assuming that you're looking at my old videos, and when you say my backyard looked beautiful, I'm thinking you are, because we haven't got there yet here. Jenny's Garden asks, how did you get started gardening? It's such a silly way that really got me interested in gardening. It's not what you think. My parents didn't garden. My grandparents did, and I spent a lot of time in their garden, but it wasn't until I watched a movie. Ironically, I was 12 or 13, and I watched a movie. Did any of you remember, or are you old enough to remember the Hallmark Hall of Fame? And they would have movies that came out every so often. Anyway, there was one called The Secret Garden, based on the famous book. And for some reason, I just was so inspired by that movie. I'd never gardened before. I had never shown any interest. I'd never asked my parents to have a piece of the backyard to do any kind of gardening. But after that, I did. And a couple of years later, I was given a dahlia tuber from a friend. And I grew it, and I had never seen anything like that. Formby Perfection. Formby Perfection was my first dahlia ever. I don't even know if it's still around. If it is, and you know where I can get it, please let me know. But then, my sister's piano teacher, who grew dahlias, she was a master gardener. I actually dedicated my book to her. She really fostered my interest and turned it into a passion. And I spent so much time with her in her garden, just learning everything I possibly could. And, you know, I've still moved on past that now. And she not only instilled the love of gardening, but the love of the learning about gardening and plants. Jenny R. Luca asks, do you like coffee or tea better? And have you ever grown either one? Well, it depends if it's hot or cold. I don't like hot tea. I have tried all different kinds, and unless you put a ton of sugar in it, they just, for some reason, don't taste good to me. Cold tea is the opposite. Now, I grew up in a Southern family, so sweet tea was the way you drank your tea. But in trying to limit my sugar over the last several years, I've actually, I still love it on occasion, but I do drink tea without any sugar or sweetener. That's pretty much mostly what I drink with anything other than water. But especially on cold mornings, I mean, there's nothing like a cup of coffee. And so, yeah, I love both. I've never grown either. I am thinking about trying coffee because there's several varieties we can grow here outside. And so I'll take you along if I go down that road. Kathleen asks, Ginger or Mary Ann? And then I realized you're probably too young to know or care. Well, no, I am too young probably to have seen it like when it was originally on. However, I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was always being rerun, and I loved that show. In fact, I actually named several chickens at my last house. We had Ginger, we had Mary Ann, we had Mrs. Howell. But hands down, Mary Ann was for me. Jen's Urban Homestead. She asks a lot of questions. In fact, I probably could have based the entire video just right here. So let's just go one at a time. How did you get into doing YouTube videos? What made you decide to make your channel? Well, I kind of accidentally fell into it in the beginning. I had redone our backyard with a tropical theme, which many of you have probably seen, and I had people that didn't live close by, family, friends, and they wanted to see what I did, because people were talking about it. And so I didn't know how to email large files or anything. And so somebody mentioned YouTube. I opened a YouTube. I had a YouTube account for whatever reason. That's why when you go on my channel, it says I've been in since 2013, I think. But anyway, this was 2018, 17, 16 maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I uploaded a video just touring around my backyard, showing what I did, and gave the link to some people and forgot about it. And a year or so later, I went back and I just happened to look at it, and I had like over 1,000 views. And I'm like, wow, I don't know 1,000 people. And so I'm not sure that it clicked immediately, but at the time I really didn't even watch YouTube for gardening. I didn't even know that that was even a possibility. And then I kind of started to see that, and I thought, I think there's something maybe I could offer. Now, I never expected it to get this big. I never, maybe in the back of my mind, I hoped, but I thought I had something to offer that was a little bit different than what was out there. Some science-based stuff, maybe that I could put in a way where, non-science people like myself could understand. I knew I had a unique looking backyard, that's for sure. So I thought, well, maybe that might get some attention. And here we are. That was in October of 2017 that I posted my first actual gardening video. So, and please don't go back and look at it because it's quite cringy. So were the crops that I grew up my last house enough to supplement our family? Well, yeah, very basically. I mean, I didn't have much space, but it's nice to grow vegetables you love, the ones that actually taste better than in the store, and then know what's in them. So, it supplemented them, but it certainly didn't fulfill all of our needs. Here, I'm hoping to do that, and I came close to it this last year. And then she asked, what made us decide to move from Camarillo to here in North San Diego County? Is the zone now much different than your old zone? The channel was growing large, and I had pretty much done everything I could possibly do at the 8,000 square foot property that we had. I mean, it was a small residential lot, and I had filled every square inch of it. And so I knew that if I was going to be serious about growing my channel to wherever it will go to, I needed more space. And I just needed more space because I had more things I wanted to do. I mean, you know me by now. And so we weren't sure where we were going to go. We lived in probably one of the most expensive areas there is. And I was not going to be able to afford to get any kind of acreage there. Now, I know moving out of state, I could have gotten a lot more property, but we've already talked about why I didn't do that. So my sister and her family had just moved back to California. They were in Tennessee for my brother-in-law's job for 3 years. They moved back, and they moved down here to San Diego County. And we came down and visited them. I hadn't been down here for like a long time. I mean, SeaWorld and the zoo was probably, and that had been years. So I really didn't even think about moving here because when I thought of San Diego, that's what I thought about. And I knew San Diego was expensive. However, they moved to North County and a little bit out in the country, not as much as we are, but I looked at the prices and I thought, wow, I could get a couple of acres for the same price as what we would sell our house for in Camarillo. And so after looking around, and I brought you guys with me doing that, we found this area, and the rest is history. As far as zones are concerned, it's really weird because when you look on the zone map, me and my neighbor are in 2 different zones. And he's, several hundred feet that way, but not that far. He's in zone 9B, and this says I'm in 10A. Now, I was in 10A at my last house. This isn't quite 10A, but I'm not sure it's 9B either. So we're right in the middle. It's probably going to take a couple of winters to really figure that out. So we have a little frost, but I don't think as much, and I don't think it's enough to harm any of the things that I tend to grow outside anyway. Okay, Michael. He says, having the problems that you're having at your current property, do you wish you had done more research for the area before you bought? And now knowing the challenges you face with your new property, would you buy it again? Oh, that's a hard question. We love our house. We love the property. We love the area. I hate the gophers. I originally thought I wanted a flat piece of property. However, after being here, I think that the slopes and the different topography of this property offers some pretty interesting challenges that, once remedied, I think can offer a really great environment here. The soil, I think once the soil is amended, it's going to be great because it's clay and decomposed granite. Now, with that type of soil, if it hasn't ever been used, which 90% of the soil on my property has not been used, it's going to be hard. But when you wet it and when you amend it, I think it's going to be some really good, fertile soil. The gophers are a problem. And however, any place in this area, any place in Southern California, maybe Northern California, I don't know, they've all got gophers if you're out in the country. And so I don't think that would have skewed me in one way or another. Now, in terms of knowing what I know now, would I buy this house again? I think it's going to take a little longer to know that. There are a few things that we wish we could change. We came from a 4-bedroom house. This is a 3-bedroom. And it's a little more square feet than what we had. But you really miss that extra room. One thing we didn't realize when we moved in is that this road, while being a country road, the road we're on, it has a little more traffic, louder traffic than we thought. Not all the time, like there's not traffic going back and forth all the time, but there are several nurseries on this road. There's a 100-acre growing nursery up at the growing grounds at the end of the street, and a lot of trucks come on certain days. And so I don't think about it a lot of the times. It's just kind of in the background until I'm editing a video and filming a video, when I have to stop and wait for that vehicle to pass to be able to continue filming. Now, it doesn't really bother me when I'm not filming. I don't even think about it unless it's one of those big trucks that are coming to get a delivery or take something. So that, I'm hoping to build some sound walls, and we'll see if that helps the situation. But I don't know. I will let you know later, but I think it's too soon to tell. There's so many things we love. We love the location. We actually love our neighbors. We have a little private drive that's got 4 different families on it, and we love them all. Love the view of the mountains. And so I think while it might be a little more work and time to make this exactly how we want it, I think overall we're very happy with the move. We're very happy with where we are. Okay, Natanya asks, how did you make the trellis? Does your wife help you in the garden? And if so, how do you get stuff done the way you want in the garden? Well, I have a video on making the trellis. Try to remember to put that down below. I'm guessing you're talking about the tomato trellis. As far as Emily being a gardener, not one bit. She will help me. She'll come out and spend time with me, keep me company while I'm out working. She'll help me if I need help doing something in particular. But no, she's not at all invested in the garden. So I get to do whatever I want. Carol is wondering about my favorite avocado tree that was attacked by the gopher a few days ago. Update. What variety is it? Have you planted other avocado trees? Yeah, that was a major blow. That's probably one of the biggest discouragements I've had here so far. However, it did not die yet. So I am doing a few things to try and see if I can save it. And I've been filming that process, so that will be out probably next week. It is a Haas avocado, which is my favorite variety. I'm not planting any more. This one will get very large, and it will produce enough for our family. I talked to the man who owned the nursery that we bought it from, and he said that one tree, because I knew they were supposed to be have another tree to cross-pollinate. He said that for, even a large family, an unpollinated tree is still going to produce plenty for what we need. Commercially, of course, you'd want to have a pollinator. However, several hundred feet over, my neighbor has an avocado tree. That's close enough to do any kind of cross-pollinating we need, so we should have plenty of avocados with just the one tree. Tina says, since your move, you've faced a lot of obstacles and challenges. Yes, I have. Many gardeners get frustrated and give up. Yes, they do. How do you overcome frustrations when everything seems to be going wrong and you're not sure what your next step should be? Well, having YouTube channel helps because I can't quit. This is my livelihood, so I will be gardening whether I like it or not. No, you know, I face it how I face every obstacle in my life as a learning experience, and it might make me super upset, sad, angry, just like that avocado tree did, but I learned from that experience how to never have that happen again. I also learned to be a little bit more vigilant in areas. If you see any kind of gopher activity, get on it. Get on it quick. And I think I am an optimistic person. I see the positive side of things after I'm not Pollyanna. I definitely go down into some deep holes of despair, but I always climb myself back out of it. And I don't know, maybe that's just my personality, but I know that from my history, there's always going to be something that I will figure out how to overcome something. I know building this patio cover, if you guys watched on the Homestead channel, you know, I ran into some things that I did not know how I was going to get around. And then, you know, I just think on it for a while and it comes to me. And I think a lot of people give up too soon before something comes to them. Speaking of giving up on something too soon, maybe not, Maggie says, can you give us an update on the goji berries that you planted? I think back in January when I was talking about the seeds of things I was going to grow this year, goji berries was on the list. I had the packet of seeds. And then I heard from some of you who had grown them and they had, in this area, and they actually become invasive. And so I decided not to. So the pack of seeds is still sitting with all of my other seeds. And that's the great thing about this channel for me, is I get to learn from other people. I have thousands of people commenting on my videos, letting me know maybe some information I didn't know, you know, for things I haven't grown before. So I really recommend you guys check out the comment section in all my videos, because there are people who either ask questions and I answer them, or who just know something about that subject, maybe even more than me, or you come at it from a different area or a different way of thinking. And so the comment sections of these videos are really invaluable for me, and I think for you. Mama Fly asks, do you ever worry about politics and how it will affect your rights on your homestead? I do. I never get political on this channel, and I never will, really, because I think there's enough politics out there. I hate politics. I hate watching the news. Just the last couple of days, I've watched the news just for the election. About the election, I wanted to, you know, just kind of be up to date on that. I can see why I stopped watching the news, because it doesn't matter which side you're on. If you're watching Fox News or CNN, nobody just shows the news. It's always from one side. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, it creates camps. It creates animosity, and it creates hate. And I really think a lot of the problems we have nowadays are because of the media. Both sides live in an echo chamber. They only hear one side. And while I may not agree with, you know, the other side, whoever that may be, I think it's really dangerous to villainize them, especially the average person. I think we can villainize politicians all we want. I think most of them are in it for themselves. Wow, this is really going off track. Where was I? What were we talking about? Oh, the rights. So yeah, so I don't watch the news. I don't think you should either. I think, you know, we can hear enough of it just from other people, from social media, but there are some things that I worry about, especially in this state. One of the things that our governor is trying to do is tax people who have wells on their property. The only way I will be able to do the things I want to do here is to have a well, especially wanting to have livestock grazing in a pasture. The only way to do that is by watering. And if I don't have a well, I won't be able to afford it. And if I have a well and it's being taxed, I don't know what that is. And so all of these things are to say, that's why I say I don't know that this is my forever home. I hope it is. But I'm a realist and things do change. Oh, Glenn, this is the question I have been dodging. Are you still posting to the Homestead channel? It's been engaging with the trials and joys of the new home progression. So, I started the Homestead channel, and if you were back when I did it, I told you why. Because anything that I posted to this channel that was not a... wow. Really? That was not a specific tutorial on a certain vegetable, it didn't get watched. People would unsubscribe. And so I thought, I mean, even just moving into flowers or Q&As like this or talking about my health, I would get so many people unsubscribing, and that didn't bother me. I mean, I didn't care that if people weren't interested in that, that's fine. But I wanted to create a space where I could put up a wider variety of things, especially moving here. We were going to be going into a lot of new things and dealing with a lot of new things. And so that was where the Homestead channel idea came from. And it is still going to happen. A lot of the things that I have been doing have been garden related. And so I could put them on this channel. For some reason, the flower videos that I've been doing have been getting views now. And people are still unsubscribing, but people are also subscribing. So I think maybe it's just having to lose the people that aren't interested in everything and gain the people who are. Or at least have people stick around and know that they don't have to watch every video I put out. If they're on flowers and you don't care about flowers, then don't watch that video. So for whatever reason, this channel is doing better in that respect. However, when we move into having our own animals and doing more homesteady type things, that channel is going to start to grow and I will start to be posting more. But I haven't had a lot to post lately, but I will. I promise. Speaking of which, and I don't even know who asked it because it's not on here. It just popped into my head and I thought I had put it on here, but somebody asked about the cow. If we're still planning on a cow and what we're thinking on that. Yes, we are still planning on a dairy cow. However, things need to be in place before that happens. The pasture area has to be completely overhauled. A lot of these eucalyptus trees have to be taken out because they just draw up moisture from the soil more than any other. They're so thirsty, they take every ounce of moisture out. I think that's what's killing some of the trees that I planted over there. Not necessarily gophers on all of them, but just the lack of water because the eucalyptus take it all. They're also a huge fire hazard. Eucalyptus are very flammable, so I don't want them hanging around my house. We're in a flammable fire danger area already. So I will be planting lots of new trees, but these trees that are really bad for our ecosystem here, they got to go first. And then I've got to kind of have Bill come back and grade some of this with the tractor and get it a little bit better. I think the question was about cows on a slope. And if they could have cows on a slope. And yeah, this entire area is going to be slopey all over the place. And they're fine on a slope. I've talked to several people who work with cattle, and they are totally fine on slopes. In fact, in California, you'll see them on the side of a mountain. My dad used to fool me and say that cows actually had shorter legs on one side than the other so they could stand on a hill. And I believed him. So anyway, that is definitely going to be updates on the Homestead channel when we start to do that, which will be later this coming year. The Apopka Gardener asks, how is your son adjusting to his new school and friends? You know, we're very fortunate. Noah is one of those kids that can just get along with everyone. He is an extrovert, where me and his mom are not extroverts. We're very introverted people, which you might be surprised since I'm talking to millions of people, but right now it's just me and that little camera there, and I don't really put the connection together for some reason. But he's doing great. He started this new school which goes through 6th grade all the way through high school. So he started as an 8th grader and just kind of... Now his cousins go there, so I think that helped a lot, but just his personality, he he's gotten so many friends in multiple grades. So he's now in ninth grade. He went through eighth grade like he'd been there forever, and now, just continuing on. He's made lots of friends, and we could not be happier with the school and just his whole school life. Jay and Ann in Man, I don't know if that's probably completely wrong, but they asked, do you eat all that you produce each year or share with family or donate? Well, up until this past year, our garden wasn't big enough to do anything. It didn't even, really feed us that much. But this new property, we did make enough. We did get enough harvest this year to share with neighbors and family and friends. We're not to the level yet of where we can donate any. Love to get to that level. We'll see if that happens. Grow Well 2022. Question is, you guys have a lot going on. Do you have a daily ritual such as meditation, breath work, reading, journaling, etc. to help you stay grounded and on track? If so, have you designed a specific space for doing this in the garden? Or if not, do you plan to? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that came with my health issues. I've had anxiety and depression in the past. I've talked about it. The level of anxiety that came with my medical issues was through the roof. 2020 was absolutely awful. And you look back at those videos, I look back at those videos, and you cannot see what I'm going through at that time, but it was pretty extreme. 2021, with the book and the move and everything, for some reason, even though that should have been the most anxiety-ridden year possible, I think it just kept me so busy that my mind was kept busy. I didn't have a chance to do that. This year has been up and down. So I'm in therapy, have been for a couple of years, trying to work through some of this. But meditation and prayer, to me, have been life-saving. As far as a place here to do it, there have been a few kind of little places that, I love looking at the mountains, so I'll sit kind of in the shade over by the vegetable garden, or I'll sit on our new deck and look out, and that's been a great place. But I think ultimately, when I get the Japanese garden in, that's just 100% zen, and I think that would be a great place to do that. I do think the cottage garden is going to be really nice to kind of just sit and be with your thoughts as well. Well, that was it. That was all the questions, you guys. And there was a lot of other questions that were garden related that I'll do another video on. A lot of them I touched on in other FAQ Friday videos, but there was a few questions that I'd never gotten before, so I will do another video with that. But I hope this gave you a chance to get to know me better, and I enjoyed it, actually. Enjoyed being open. If you have any other questions you want to know about me, put them down in the comments. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.